Hello creative people, it's Sherry with Dragon Wagon Studio. Thank you for joining me today. In this tutorial, I am going to be attempting to do several bloom techniques. I think I got 10 picked out so far. I might add some more. I don't know what the total number will be right now. Anywho, every bloom that I have made has failed miserably. So, upon further research, I have found many scientific reasons why. So I'm going to go through those reasons with you, and I'm going to show you multitude of techniques and different types of blooms. And I'll also give you some ideas on some center fillers out of the ordinary that you wouldn't think of. People always like to put in those confetti bits and whatnot, and that's fine, but you can expand quite a bit on that. So I'm going to show you a couple techniques that I've used in the past that have worked well. So a lot of the reasons that, I need my nerd glasses for this. So a lot of the reasons that blooms fail is due to temperature, due to not being patient and letting your resin cool off before you do your white. Another reason is due to weight of the substances that you're using. Some pigments are heavier than others, so if you're looking for a pigment to float on the top, you might not be using the right pigments. So I'll go through that as well. And another major issue is the type of resin you are using. Viscosity plays a very big part in this. So if you don't have the right tools for the job, it's gonna not work out. So I will go through all that with you today and teach you a bunch of different techniques all in one. Let me know what you think in the comments and which one you like best. Let me know if you've tried some of these techniques and how it worked out for you. Let's get this information out and share it with everybody. Like, I really appreciate you guys putting comments in, so it helps a lot of people out. Without further ado, let's get to it. I have a few of my coaster molds here. And I left them like this because last night I went and I used the negative space in your mold. That's right. You can also use the backside to make other shapes. So what I did is I took some UV resin and put all these confetti sprinkles in there. These always sink to the bottom, which is great. That's what we want. But they tend to float around a lot, and sometimes you don't want them floating out into your pattern. So I'm going to try using this as a starter point for one of my flowers. I just got to clean it up a little bit. I got some pretty pointy edges here, so I don't want that to affect the mold. And I'm pretty sure I'll be okay with the design. We'll see how it goes. And then I also did another one with beads. These are just your little tiny beads you get at Dollarama. And I laid them all out in some UV resin. So that's another center all ready to go. And I didn't have to screw around with my mold or my design. And you got a perfect circular center. So we'll put that in somebody. So using the negative side of your mold will give you some really cool designs. Like this one, you can get some hollowed out circles. We got some odd shapes in here. You know, you don't always have to use the front. This is a little tricky to do blooms sometimes with these type of coasters that have a little indent, so it has a little boundary around your coaster. So every single one of these molds has that. So we're gonna make sure before we put any color on that we fill these in first, because that's gonna affect how that turns out. All right, so now I got my resin mixed up. I'm gonna go and mix up my white for this type of bloom. I'll be using the Pinata Blanco Blanco. Also Pinata Baja Blue. I'll be using crushed glass. And I'll be using these bottles instead of piping bags. I have tremors and arthritis, so I thought these little needle bottles might be easier for me rather than dealing with a giant piping bag. Sure, you can cut them down, but it's a ridiculous amount of plastic for a little project. Another thing you can use instead of piping bags You can use little sandwich baggies and just use a corner of that, because these projects are so small, you don't need those. So save your money if you don't have them. Just use sandwich baggies, guys. Unless you got these are pretty handy dandy. So I'm gonna mix up my colors now, and then we'll get started. I'm gonna mix in the cup and then pour in. Not really sure how much I'll use. I'll use more white because we're doing a couple posters. I made a bunch of resin, probably way too much. I'm going to put a little bit of mica powder in here too, just to give it a little shimmer. I kind of want some shimmer since I'm using crushed glass. And just to kind of make the tips of those petals kind of shine. So I'll throw a little bit of white mica powder in there just to give a little sprinkle. That's some sparkle. Whoops. I said a little. You don't really want it too heavy. There we go. Get a little sparkle in there. So I'm going to be filling in the outer edge first. First things first. Crushed glass. And I'm actually doing this one because it's a heart shape. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm not going right in the middle. I'm going to go down at the bottom. These might be too big. Picked up like the smallest bits I could find. Alright, so with this pattern, we go and we make our shapes by drawing them. We're not dropping ink in this one. I don't really want to go all the way to the edge. I think I'm going to stop there. I made pretty much enough. Because the trick is to let your color sit a little bit and let it expand out first. It works more, like more comes into play when you're working with alcohol inks, which we are, but I didn't drop them in. I'm using a device to put it in. So it is still expanding out, but it is a little bit more controlled. So I'm just going to give that a couple minutes. See, now our blue's starting to expand out, and that's kind of what we want before you put the white layer in, because the white layer is a little bit heavy, especially since I put mica powder in there. So we want this expanding out, then the white expands out after with it, if that makes sense, I hope. Alright, so while that's expanding and we're waiting, I'm going to move this guy up this side here a little bit. And I'm going to start in on the next one, which is just a single bloom. So this one I'm going to try and use the beads as the middle. Actually, maybe I should do it on the bigger one. I'll do it on the bigger mold because it's quite a big center. Alright, now I'm going to do this trick. We got little bubbles last time. So put a resin layer in there and resin up your walls first, and then you won't get so many surface bubbles. And that's it. So weightless bubbles when you get rid of the surface bubbles before you pour. Now this is going to be a little tricky because speaking of bubbles, well, this is a little indented on the top. And I don't want a bubble getting under there. So we're going to pre-resin that. So that's all lubed up. We're getting rid of surface bubbles. Now, when I put it in there, I shouldn't have any bubbles underneath this. There we go. So now our blues will expand it out. Now we're going to do our white. Okay, neat tracks. Take some more heat to it. Now, I'm going to take this guy and put these guys in. Putting down back into the middle, shaping with my pearls. And I am going to leave it there. I don't have faith in this one. I am just terrible at these. Okay, this is the atypical of dropping your colors in. So what do I want to use for this? Let's do some, well, we did pinatas last time. Let's try out the Rangers. I'm just going to go around the middle. Now we're going to leave that. We're going to let the alcohol inks do their magic. So they're going to expand out, but as the resin cools, they shrink back in. So once it starts to cure at about 40 degrees, that's when you really want to do your white. So I'm just going to let that sit for a bit. You got some kind of like poppy look. Looks like a poppy. The flower I want to do next. I'm going to resin up my edges, surface bubbles. You don't have to do this if your mold is just flat. I'm only doing this because the bubbles always like hiding in these little nooks and crannies. If you're just using a regular flat mold, this really isn't necessary. But it does help with the bubbles. Alright, so now we see that our colors have shrunk back down. Now it's the perfect time to do this. So this one I'm going to do a spiral, which I hope it works with my beads in the middle, but I'm not too sure. And this, by the way, is incredibly easier than the piping bag. And this is not killing my hands. So again, we're not going right to the edge. Alright, so now I'm going to cut my flower design. I'm going to go in and do opposites. It's like changing a tire. You don't go all the way around the circle, you go opposites. Gotta stop bumping that. And you don't scrape the bottom of your mold. I've done it several times now. Try not to. Try to just keep with the design on the top. It's easier said than done, especially with this style of mold. Okay, and now this one. Actually, I'm just going to leave it. We'll do a little swirl here and call it a day. I'll do an in-out method on another one. I'll give it a little heat just in case any bubbles. Alright, and that is that one. So this one, we're actually going in with white first. Alright, so I'm going to do gold and some passion purple. And these are pinatas. So now I'm just going to go around my pattern again with the metallic. Alright. Now we're going to do the petals. Now I'm going to do a double petal. So we're going to go in first. And that's what we're going to do with that one. I kind of get maybe a little iris or anything that resembles a flower would be great with me, because I'm a little scared on how this is turning out. So that is those three. So we'll let these ones cure and we'll continue on with the others. All right, creative people, it's time for the next set. So I have some sand here. You can get this at the dollar stores. This is where I got it from. And then I used some tangerine alcohol ink by Pinata. And I put a couple drops in there last night and just let it dry. The alcohol is definitely gassed off. Obviously, that gassed off pretty quickly. I'm hoping that the color is not going to spread by doing this, but you can definitely use sand as one of your center points. It does sink nicely and it'll stay in the center. But I'm going to try it colored today and see how that turns out. And the other two are not going to have any centers today. We're going to do some different techniques. So let's get at it. Today I wanted to do these little rims with some color. So I think I'm going to tint a little bit of resin and just do some colored edges because I have these edges in these two molds. Just to give a little bit of color, because we are going to be coloring the backs, but the other three are going to have clear lips. So let's make these with some color. So I'll show you another trick to get rid of some surface bubbles. I showed you yesterday the finger trick. Today I will show you another way. Move you out of the way for now. So I'll just pour my resin in here, like so. And this is another trick you can do, is resin up your walls by just moving the resin around and coating it instead of sticking your finger in there. It's a little hard to see at that angle for you guys, sorry. But you just keep moving your resin around and it'll coat it all for you. And just move it around alongside. Usually you'd have a little bit more. This works really good with deep pours. You keep your resin just coating all of that and getting rid of those bubbles as it comes. So that's another way you can do it. Anyway, I'm going to get on with this, but just so you have an example, I'll go and pour our clear resin in. We'll pour that in the center. Let's start with this one. I'll put our sand in. I'll put my sand in the middle. I need more resin in here. Alright, let's get these sand chunks back in. That's great. The color is not fading out of the sand. I was worried about that. So that is great. I'm just going to try and push these together a little bit more. Colors to match this beautiful green. Oh boy. Well, purple for sure. Like a nice blue. We did Baja yesterday. We'll do sailboat blue. So this is just a no-name Amazon brand. This one is the Ranger. And since we got orange in there, you might as well throw some yellow. We're just winging it here. This is how I roll. I'll go yellow around my center. I'm going to go purple around that. Whoa, that expands quite a bit. Whoa, wee! Okay, wow. That just took right over the yellow. This will be interesting. Wow! That ink is... I have a feeling this is going to be an ugly flower. Alright. Near future alcohol ink testing. What are we doing with this other one? We'll add 3 colors in this one. This one's going to be a little bit more random. There's no center in this one. This kind of looks like fireworks, or supposed to. We'll see how it looks when I do it. More blue in there. Alright, I'll let that sit. Interesting. Alright. I'm going to try doing it without the needle tip today. We'll see how much I fail at it. Okay, we will use this again. Alright, inward. And opposites. Bring all these petals in. And then, I lost where they are now. And go out again. Kind of in the middle. And I lost where my petals were. I think they were there. And we're going to swirl. But careful not to touch your sand under there. We definitely lost all the purple. Came a little muddied. We'll see how it turns out though. And this one is going to be a lot of pulling inward. Like a lot. 20 petals. And we're going to slowly swirl. Well, that's looking cool on this side. Let's see how that turns out. Alright, now this one is completely different. This one is going to be a reverse pull, or a reverse something. So how this works, we actually put our color drops in first. Like the video I saw on this was very vague. All it showed was these little color drops from the bottom of a coaster mold, and then resin dumped on top, and all the colors expanded, and that was it. I'm assuming it was alcohol inks. I have no idea. Didn't look like mica powders, but I have no idea what this person was actually doing. I'm just guessing at this point. So that's why I'm using this Tree of Life mold. It's a flat mold, and I thought this technique might look cool for the background for the Tree of Life, which is currently upside down. There you go. This is just drops of ink on the mold itself. That might be, but it didn't look like it. It looked like alcohol mixed. So I'm going to try it this way and see what happens. So all you basically do is take little droplets, put them randomly in your mold, I'm assuming. It looked really cool, so that's why I'm trying it. This is why I don't like shorts. There's these more questions than answers. Now, I have a feeling that the alcohol in the alcohol inks is what makes the magic in this one. And I have a feeling I should probably spray it with some alcohol just because it's probably gassed off, but we'll see. Alright, so, God, this is bubbly, but just for demonstration purposes. And all you do is just pour this in, and it's supposed to make magic, but it's not. And yeah, it's not doing what I expected. Oh, let's get some heat. Yeah, that was a fail. That did not do what I expected at all. I'll have to try that again. Maybe it was just alcohol drops. I have no idea what they used. It looks cool, but mine doesn't. Seeing how that's not going to work, let's try and make something neat out of it. Yeah, that's a fail. I want the Tree of Life to be ugly. Disrespectful. Well, I guess that's why that short was so short. Needs some more questions. I gotta make something nice out of this. I gotta try. God, that pink's terrible. Oh my god. I don't recommend that brand. I needed it for a certain color for a wedding gift. I almost stuck with it. Alright, let's leave it at that. At least it's something and it's not going to look so ugly. That reverse whatever the hell it was. No good. Alright, so I'm going to let these guys set up and we'll do the next set. Okay guys, so I went out and I bought some Chameleon powders for this next step. I'm going to do the back on these first 6 because these are my deepest coaster molds. All my other coasters are a little on the shallower side, so I think it's best to stick with the depth with the blooms. They look more 3D than what they are, but they still need that little bit of space. So I went and I bought some Chameleon powders. I'm really excited for these. I've been wanting to play with these for a long time. So I'm going to actually try that for the backings and see how that turns out and just kind of test out these new mica powders. I want to see if they're all that's cracked up to be. So I bought this Rolio brand on Amazon. When I received it yesterday, some of my containers were missing some. I had some that were only half full. There's only 3 or 4 of them out of 10, so it wasn't that bad. But I'm like, message them and, hey, I got my order today. A couple of them are missing some mica powder. Not sure what's up. All the lids were on, nothing spilt. And they're like, oh, well, that's not our standard, so we'll just credit you back. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I wasn't expecting that at all. Thank you so much. So that's why I'm giving them a little shout out, because the customer service was exceptional. And I really appreciated that. So I told them I'll give them a shout out. And so we'll test out the product and see how much we like it. Link for this product is in the description if you guys also like it and want to try it out. It was cheaper than the Let's Resin Chameleon, so you know who I am. I like my deals. So let's get mixing up these 3 colors. My resin is ready to go. I'm a little nervous because I'm looking at this and then I'm looking at these little colors and what they're supposed to look like, and my brain just really can't grasp that concept. Like, that can't be the color because that's not the color that we're looking at. So I picked out a cyan essence. So we're going to do that for these two. And then I picked out emerald ash. And that's a little bit of a darker green. I was trying to go with our rim that we did. So we'll see how that turns out for those two. And then this one, Vernalius. I am terrible at pronunciations. I hope I said that right. I just tongue-tied. That's why I never kept up with my French. Yeah, so this one's more, it's got some purple and blue hues in there, but it's kind of their darkest one. There are quite a few. We're not sure what's going on with that one. So, all right, let's get mixing these up and see what these do. I am so pumped for these. I've been wanting to see this so long. All right, spoon. It's the lightest one, so I'll start with that first. Okay, so that is the color of the mica powder for the light blue, the cyan, what is it? Cyan essence. So, yeah, it's kind of like snow. That's what it reminds me of. This one has some green and copper bronzy tones to it. And this one is like a red, violet, and maybe some blues in there. So that's interesting. I wonder how that, I'm so excited to see how this looks. I'm kind of regretting this blue now with that blue. I don't know if the flower's going to show through. That's pretty light for that one. I don't know. We'll see. I regret that now. It'll be good for this one. I don't know about that one though. Maybe I'll switch it out. Alright, so that's a green, brown, coppery color. Don't look like anything like they do on the jars yet. Maybe it changes when it dries. I don't know. And that is not wacky at all. Yeah, alright. Still kind of want them to look pretty if they turn out. Some of them I'm pretty sure some of these did not turn out. We'll see. I know I'm doing this color for both, so let's do the middle one first. That's cool. Wow. Look at that. I don't know if it's opaque enough. Get all that to the edge. Let's let that sit for a bit. I'll get all the bubbles after in one shot. Let the resin figure out what it wants to do with this life. That's really pretty. Okay, stop staring at it. You got work to do. So I think I'm gonna switch those ones out. I think I'll lose the blue with this one, so see what happens here. Boop. Hey, I said boop. Boop. Oh, that's really pretty. Normally put a dark background so you can pop out the foreground more, but these ones I'm going to do in reverse. We'll see what it looks like. I like experimenting. This is how you find cool new ways to do things. So it's either going to suck or it's going to be awesome. There's no in between. It's really pretty. I think it'll work out really good on this one, especially with the pink flowers. It's definitely not the right color for this one, but it's got some blue tones to it, and it's dark, so since it's such a light flower, put a dark background. I was hoping to be more black, but this is not going to go with these neon colors. Boop. Yeah, that is not the color for that. Oh well. It might work okay with this neon-y one. I should have picked more of a bluey one. I thought it'd be more black. Tricked me. Tricked me. Still really pretty though. I do like those greeny blue hues popping up through there. That's really neat. It's more of an orange than anything. But this one looks more bluey in the middle. That's because we're picking up those dark, picking out the blue on the undercoat, so it's giving a nicer green shimmer on the top. That's kind of, it's really interesting how I got more orange there, more green here. Alright, let's get these bubbles popped. Cool. Well, I'll let that cure for about 6 hours and we'll pop these out.
Then we'll make the other 4. We'll see how these turn out and see if I've actually learned anything and gotten any better at doing these things. I have faith in some of them. The others I'm like, they look really back.
Alrighty, creative people. Our resin is dry. And this chameleon stuff looks pretty cool. I don't think it's dark enough for our blooms though, but I'm pretty happy with how it looks. Pretty neat stuff. I wish it was a little darker for the blooms, but I really love the cyan essence one. Anyway, let's see what these guys look like, because I want to get making some more, and I've been itching to do this, and I didn't get to this yesterday, so... Oh, where's my list? So we remember what we did. We did the heart first, didn't we? Yes, we did the heart first. And we didn't do a swirl. Let's do this heart. And this was with the Vernalius Chameleon powder on the back. Oh, neat. It doesn't... Oh, Huh. I'm gonna get some paper, because you can't really see it. I knew that stuff wouldn't be dark enough. Get some white paper to see underneath these. Okay. It's better. It actually kind of looks like a flower. It's probably one of my better blooms I've ever done. So the crushed glass didn't incorporate very well as a center point. So I don't think I would use that again. But I want to try it out. Just, you know, a little something. Maybe you put a little more tinier pieces in there, really built it up, but you did get some 3D effects in there. These look like flower petals out here, how that flailed out. In the middle, it kind of got a little muddy. Huh, all right. Well, it's better than some of the other ones I've done, so. And this was that neon weird one. This was the reverse drop, which I was incredibly confused about when I seen that short video with 0 explanations. Oh boy, wow. That is just awful. Awful. My tree of life looks awful. So all that swirling I did, it all pulled back into the middle. So you should wait until your resin has started heating up before you do the swirl so they don't shrink in as much. When your resin cools, it condenses. And when it's at that heating point, when you want to add your white petals, it is about 40 degrees when it starts to cure and it heats up. So it's expanding and you don't get that crunch in. So that's what happened there, and that was terrible. Let's move on. Ah, wow. Not a fan. Actually, I'm going to save these 2 for last. I have a good feeling about these. The other ones I'm a little iffy about. Alright, this was our flower. We did a pull in and pull out method on this. And, oh, this is the UV resin center I made. Alright, so that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb because it was already pre-made with UV resin. But it's cool. It adds a really cool, interesting component to it. Again, it still doesn't look like a flower. I'm still terrible at blooms. But I do kind of like how the center turned out. It doesn't kind of flow in as much, but a different way of doing things. Alright, this guy. Woo, the poppy turned out good. I like how that turned out with the beads. That actually looks like a flower. Yay! I think this is the first bloom that actually looks like a flower I did. I like that one. I should have did black background. That would have popped all those soft pinks out. I don't know if that's any better. Yeah, with a black background or darker background, even a navy blue or something like that, that would pop all that right out, and this would be a really good one. So I definitely like this method. That one works for me. Yay! 1 bloom! Okay, this one was kind of like fireworks, apparently. Ooh! Ooh! A little messy in there with the swirl, but this one looks pretty. Ooh, I really like this one. This technique turned out great. Oh, wow. And I'm glad I didn't put a background on that and did the frame instead. That actually turned out really good with the Chameleon and the green. This was the Emerald Ash Chameleon powder on the back. That turned out really nice. That's like a little picture. I like that one. Again, a little messy there, but you know what? I'm pretty happy with that because I haven't made anything this good in blooms ever. So we like this one. Alrighty. This one I was a little, not sure. It shrunk back in. I should have waited a little bit longer for the resin to be a little warmer. So it was a little cold when I did this. Oh yeah, we used the sand in this. I colored the orange sand. Oh, actually it looked pretty cool. The sand got a little bit away with me. That's why I like doing it kind of beforehand. You can control that a little bit better. So it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, but a little bit less maybe. Just a little tiny drop. Wow, that one actually turned out pretty good. Too much sand in the middle, but yeah, again, I like how the background is translucent like that with that emerald ash. That turned out really good. And a good call on framing that in with that, was it emerald resin, or emerald mica powder that we used. And that's why I don't like using sand, because see that little chunk floating away? It's terrible for that. I've made a lot of beach wine glasses with sand. All right, so those are the first 6. What do you guys think of those? I think these 2 turned out the best. Actually, these 3. This one, maybe it would have been better in a different mold, like a circle. Like, it has potential, but it's just not quite there. This one, I had higher hopes for that one. I really did. And yeah, that's just awful. I gotta practice that reversing. I need to know what they did because that's... I am confused. So confused. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for me. I do this as a living and I really appreciate you guys watching my content and helping my channel grow. I really hope that you enjoy all the wisdom I share with you and you get some great tips and ideas for your art. And yeah, let's keep that free information flowing. Thank you so much, and I appreciate every one of you. Okay, we are on to the next 3 blooms. So this one, I am going to be doing a rose bloom. I'll be using flamingo pink, crimson red, and tangerine. I'm going to be doing something a little different with my white today. I'm going to mix in a little bit of this pearl in with my white, just to give the petals some shimmer. The last 6 I did with mica powder, so we're going to switch it up a little bit. So I'll get mixing my white here. Get our ink sitting in this one. So I'm going to do red in the middle. Do some pink. Oh, I want some orange. Oh, we're getting everywhere here. What is orange? I want a kind of peachy color. Where did my red go? Where did my red going? There's no center in this one. Just color. So I'll let that sit. I'll mix up my whites. Oh, and we'll be using these today. So I did have some embossing tools already, but none with these nice silicone tips. And you'll never guess where I got these. Dollarama. So check out your Dollarama for these handy dandy tools. They're great for resin and blooms. So we'll be using, I don't know, let's try this one out today. More white. That is not white enough for me. There we go. That's much better. That's much better. So we'll let that sit for about 10 minutes and we'll come back to that. This one is a little bit different. I'll fill up my center with one color. I'm going to try metallic on this. We'll see how that works out. This is copper. It goes really nice with this green. And that was Stream Green by Ranger. I'll let that sit. Ooh, it reminds me of peacocks. I don't know what happened to my glove. Alright, going back to the rose. Now I'm going to start from the outside and swirl inward. Okay, got our little swirl in there.
Now we're going to into a needle tip bottle because I'm gonna make a mess of this and it's not gonna work out nice. You use a piping bag and whatnot too, but I'm going to do this. It is easier for me. So with this, the rose, you just do little dashes. And that is that. I'm going to let that sit for a while and then we'll swirl it again. Alright, on to this guy. So now we will do a swirl of this. First, you do drops in the middle. I'll let that sit for a bit. On to this guy. This one's supposed to give us lots and lots of petals. And this one I'm going to be using metallic glass gravel. So just little gold pieces. So we'll use these in the middle of this one. Put them all in there. Just gonna put some in there. Get them. There we go. Put a little more resin on top here. There we go. Make sure they're encased in there. It popped out on that heart one. These guys are a lot smaller than those glass bits I was using. And the colors I chose for this one is Sunbright Yellow, Sapphire Blue, and Rainforest Green. So I'm going to start in the middle with the blue. No, we'll go backwards. We'll go light out to dark. All that pretty yellow in the middle. We'll go with the green on the outside. And the blue, this one's going to be dark. Dark, dark, dark. Alright, we'll let that sit. We'll come back and do the rose swirl again. And that one is done. And this one, I'm going to go in. I'm going to go out. And I'm going to add a couple more white drops in the middle just so they come through. It's supposed to give us some long stamens. I also want to do a redemption on this Tree of Life that did not turn out on that last one. That was horrible. So I'm going to try just dropping the alcohol drops straight onto the mold and then pouring resin. So I'm determined to figure out what that person did. I get fixated on things like this. So, the colors I picked up for that are Limeade, Sailboat Blue, and Passion Purple. So that's with Ranger and Pinata. So I'm just going to put some drops randomly and see what this reverse method is all about. I'm dedicated to figure this out. I think I need a pink or something in there. Let's throw this flamingo pink in. Just for a little flare. Let's see how it happens. Alright. Let's pour our resin in. I want to see some magic happen. There better be magic. Ah, look at that. That is better. I think that's more or less what you're supposed to do. There we go. That's pretty cool. I think that's what he did. I don't think it's working out as much with the textured mold. If it was just a plain mold like these, it'd probably be better. I'll give it some heat. I'm going with this guy on this one. Oh, yeah, we're getting some like little pooling of the inks. That is interesting looking. I'm going to leave it like that. I want to see what it looks like when it dries. Back to this guy. So, now we'll put our white in this one. And this one's supposed to be a multi-petal one, so I'm just going to go nuts here. I don't know. Let's try swirling this again. I have no idea how this is going to turn out now. There's something going on with these inks and I don't know what is going on. And this is turning into something kind of funky. Okay, so we'll let these cure and we'll come back and do the backing. And yeah, we'll see how these ones turned out. Alright guys, so it's been about 6 hours. You got some weird stuff going on. Yeah, so I don't see any of the white in that rose, and I did get a hair in there. I had to move it on the floor, and I think I ended up getting some dust in these. Anyway, they're just for testing. So yeah, we definitely got something interesting going on with this reverse drop. I got some muddied colors in there, but I think the other side is going to look kind of neat. So I'm a little more excited for this one now. But anyway, it's time to pour our backing on. So I just mixed up some black mica powder and resin. And I'm just going to pour the backings on, let that cure, and then we'll see what they look like tomorrow. I'm not even going to mess around this time. I'm just going to go straight black so we can see better. No chameleon colors to play with. Just want to see these beautiful blooms pop out. So let's get that all mixed up. Get the bubbles out. Get that curing. And then we'll see how our blooms turned out tomorrow. I hope I get redemption out of this tree of life this time.
Alright, creative people. This is the end of it. So, let's see how we did. Yeah, I had some resin spill over on that guy. Alright. Didn't quite get dark enough, but it should be alright. Which one was this one anyways? Where's my notes? I don't even remember. 1 second. Oh, I've been dealing with a migraine all day. I am not on the ball, sorry. But the show must go on. So, this one was the... Oh, this was the rose. Yes, I remember now. This was only yesterday. I'm trying to remember. Ooh. Okay. Well, man, I'm terrible at these blooms. It looks pretty cool, but I wish I didn't put the background now on it. I can't win with this. See if we can get any of that white to pop through to make that any better. You know, I was on the right track for sure. Definitely on the right track. But just a little more... what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's getting there. It just needed a little more push. Maybe a little more swirlies. Yeah, I wish I didn't put that black on now. Oh well, moving on. It's on its way. It just needed a little more execution. That's the word I'm looking for. Alright, let's see how our metallic turned out. Used copper in this one and then nice dark green. So let's see here. Oh yes, this one was with the long stamens. So, we kind of got that. Kinda. I really like how the copper turned out. These parts really pretty right in here. So you can see that it is a flower. Again, a little more execution. The white didn't come through. The green really took over. So that's kind of a little bit of a bummer. There's supposed to be nice white droplets that come out and then have little tails on them. So again, a little more execution, I guess. It's hard to see the white now because that black was not dark enough. But it got some nice white petal shapes. What do we got here? Oh yes. So this one I had an issue with the alcohol ink. It ended up drying out and made a little bit of a skin. So I had some skins on here that I peeled out and then I ended up swirling it too much. It actually reminds me of more of water than anything. I do like the gold gravel, maybe a little bit less of it. So I think if I didn't end up with that skin problem, I'd have more of the flower shapes. But I like the colors. The colors are cool. Lost a lot of that yellow though. That green really ate up that yellow in the middle. All right, let's see if we got redemption on my tree of life with that weird technique. All right, my tree. It was really interesting to watch this dry because we had little droplets out of the alcohol ink and then they ended up spreading. And then that's how it turned out. The colors got muddied, unfortunately. You got a lot of browns mixed in with oranges there. So the purple did not mix well with some of the others. And yeah, I don't think I got redemption out of that at all. It was better than the last one. That one was awful, but kind of an interesting technique. It looks cool when it's doesn't have a background to it and you can kind of see through it. You can see the pattern and the ink's a little bit better, but yeah, too bad the colors got muddied because that was kind of funky. I like to try that technique again, maybe some more, maybe just using primary colors instead of mixing too many in. These inks really stain your molds when you do that too, so. But yeah, anyway, so those are some bloom techniques. Did I master them? I don't think so. I think blooms kicked my butt still because I was 3 out of 3 on the last one. This one's not bad. I like this one. This was still awful. And then we had some issues with that. And then this one just needed a little more execution on there. I think the petals needed to be a little thinner. Maybe I'll use the popsicle stick next time. All right, here are all our blooms, or attempts to make blooms, because some of them just are not. Well, I definitely think that this one turned out the best. I don't know, I think this one's my favorite. This one also. I think this would have turned out really good if the background color was dark, because these petals in here, like, they turned out pretty nice, so I think that's probably, these two are my favorite. This one has so much potential. I really hope that one turned out, but I'll just have to keep practicing and playing with it. These two are not bad, not bad. Too bad about the little white stamens in there. That green alcohol ink took that over. So I'm interested to see how that can be avoided. This looks like a vortex portal in the middle of the ocean with some gold at the bottom of it. That did not turn out. My tree of life did not turn out. But this one did turn out better. So it definitely, you just put your alcohol ink straight onto the mold. And having a texture mold probably didn't help on that. But, you know, I think that's what they did in that video. Just different color choices that would blend together and you don't get muddied colors. I think it would have turned out pretty good then. Not quite rose shape. I got too many, these white petals need to be thinned out quite a bit more to look more like rose petals. You can see it developing, it just needs a little more execution. Too much sand in the middle of that one, but that one's pretty cool. I do like how that turned out. Some pretty cool looking flower. There's some really trippy flowers out there in the world, guys. Like, even irises are just so weird looking, but they're just gorgeous. So, anyway, I want to know what you guys thought. Which one did you like the best? Have you tried any of these methods and have they worked out for you? Do you fail as much as I do at blooms? Because I definitely did not win this battle. I got close on a couple, but some more practice and initiation need to be had. But yeah, I want to know what you guys think. If you got any tips and tricks that you want to share with everybody, drop them in the comments. Like, I'd love to hear from you guys. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Stay creative, and I'll see you in the next one.